Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic, Appalachia, home in my heart, always.
Hello everyone and welcome to Down Home Virginia. I'm Sherry McKinney.
And I'm Norm Hyde, coming up this month on Down Home Virginia.
Looking to celebrate the holidays and protect the environment at the same time? Turns out a fresh cut Christmas tree is green in more ways than one.
Many people choose a country-style ham as the centerpiece of their holiday meal, another age-old tradition in Virginia.
And if you really want to be traditional this holiday season, check out how they decorate in Williamsburg, the first capital of the Old Dominion.
Welcome back to Down Home Virginia, everyone. Sherry, this month we're coming to everyone from the Willow Oaks Christmas Tree Farm in Caroline County.
That's right, Norm. We've had so many stories over the years that we've really enjoyed, especially during the holiday season, that we thought we would share some of them with you once again. And one of my favorites, of course, is a story about a local Christmas tree farm.
It's a holiday tradition that dates back centuries. Just pack up the family and head out to your local Christmas tree farm. It may surprise some folks to learn that a freshly cut Christmas tree is one of the most renewable resources they can buy.
The trees are insect, they're disease-free, they can go into your home, they're not colored, it's just a perfectly natural product. When you take it out of your home, you can grind it up, put it into the garden and make soil richer.
Bill and Mary Apperson own the Mill Farm Christmas Tree Farm, and he says there's another reason buying a freshly cut Christmas tree is green. His family's owned their farm since 1770, and their operation allows them to keep their land instead of selling it to developers.
We make enough money to pay the taxes and have something left over. As long as we can afford to keep it, we will keep it.
At the Mill Farm Christmas Tree Farm, many local families have a tradition of coming out after Halloween and picking their tree early, then reserving it with a special treasure. And there's some neat trends in the industry too. Mary Apperson says live tabletop trees that you decorate for the holiday, then plant in your landscape are very popular now.
So you don't have to tear down the doorway getting the tree in and out of the house. You don't have to mess up your new carpet getting the tree in and out of the house.
And Leyland cypress trees are growing in popularity, especially for folks who are allergic to traditional tree varieties or don't want the mess that falling needles can make. The Appersons have been raising Christmas trees with organic fertilizers and very few insecticides for 35 years. They used to raise corn and vegetables, but switching to trees had less impact on the land.
We take great pride in the crop that we raise. It's clean and environmentally clean. The water that falls, the rainwater that falls on this farm, when it gets to the river, it's cleaner than it's been in the last 200 years running through our fields.
And that makes a Virginia Christmas tree truly green this holiday season and everyone to come.
You've decided to buy a live tree for the Christmas season. Well, whether you go to a Christmas tree farm like this one, or if you go to a wholesale lot to buy your tree, there are some tips that you can use to buy the perfect tree that will last you through your whole Christmas season. This year, more than 37 million American families will celebrate the holidays with the fragrance and beauty of a real Christmas tree. Some will cut their own from farms like Belmont Christmas Tree Farm.
In my case, we cut all our own trees, so we know exactly when they're cut. We wait till the last possible moment to cut our trees and bring them in.
Back at the farm, it's a personal preference that drives the sale.
We have people come out here can spend 3 or 4 hours looking at the trees. You know, they'll go from one end of the farm back and forth, and a lot of times they'll decide on the very first tree they looked at.
Of course, after you find the perfect tree, always ask for a fresh cut before taking it home.
And we fresh cut every tree. We cut maybe anywhere from 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch to 1 inch off the bottom. And that opens the pores back up again so that the tree can drain.
To locate a Christmas tree farm in your area, you can visit the State Department of Agriculture's website at the address you see on your screen, or you can try the Virginia Christmas Tree Growers website at virginiachristmastrees.org.
Another Virginia tradition is serving a ham at the holiday dinner. And while there are many choices, a country ham is delicious, whether it's smoked or salt cured. For centuries, the recipe for a country ham was pretty much the same. One Virginia tradition has it that Captain John Smith learned the trick of preserving ham from the Indians who lived on Hog Island near Jamestown 400 years ago. Whoever started it, the process is time-consuming. Farm families would slaughter a hog in January when the meat could stay cold naturally. Then the hams and bacon and other parts were rubbed down with salt and hung in a smokehouse for a year. A lot of farmers would say they wanted apple wood. Some of them would use hickory, some of them would use oak, sometimes a mixture of wood to color up the ham.
Bob Feltz, owner of the Feltz Packing Company in Southampton County, says the pattern didn't change until the Great Depression, when so many people left the farm for work in the city. Come the holidays, they'd go back to their parents and grandparents and ask for a ham for their holiday dinner. With demand growing, commercial processors like himself found a new market.
The way we cure these hams now with controlled temperature, where every day is the same temperature, same humidity, we're able to duplicate what they used to do in 9 to 12 months. We're doing it in 90 to 120 days.
Feltz and his crew reproduced the old techniques in his modern plant. They salt, wash, hang, cool, dry, heat, and smoke the hams, then ship them out to grocery stores, farmers markets, and restaurant chains. Or they're sold to individual customers who remember the taste of a country ham from childhood. And of course, these days you can get a Feltz country ham off the internet as well.
Coming up next on Down Home Virginia, Jerry Stenger with the Virginia Climatology Office explains the different types of snow we receive in Virginia.
And Professor Brad talks about the tradition of the holiday poinsettia in the ABCs of Agriculture. Stay with us.
The price of a traditional holiday turkey meal's not risen much from last year. According to a recent survey by the Virginia Farm Bureau, a traditional turkey dinner for 10 people should cost about $43.39. The dinner menu includes turkey, stuffing, sweet potatoes, rolls, peas, cranberries, a relish tray of carrots and celery, and pumpkin pie with whipped cream. Farm Bureau also found the average cost of a 16-pound turkey this year hadn't changed much from last year, at about $1.21 a pound. But where you buy it does count. Prices varied across the state and were higher in rural areas. And bargain hunters could do even better if they bought their holiday meal supplies on sale. The U.S. Department of Agriculture reports the farm portion of each consumer food dollar spent in the United States this year is about 20 cents. Using that percentage across the board, the farmer's share of the average Thanksgiving meal in Virginia would be only $8.68.
December puts us right in the midst of snowfall season here in Virginia, and that white stuff is beautiful to behold, but it's also full of surprises. Western portions of the state typically get upwards of 3 feet of snow a year, while the southeast typically sees only around 6 inches. But what we call normal snowfall is rarely the case, because the amounts can vary widely from one year to the next. For instance, Charlottesville normally receives about 18 inches of snowfall a year. But in the 2009-10 season, we got almost 57 inches of snowfall here at McCormick Observatory at the University of Virginia. And there have been some years in which we've received an inch or less. The variety of snow we get depends on how much water goes into making the stuff. And this depends on the air temperature. Here in Virginia, the typical ratio of snow to liquid water is about 10 to 1. This makes pretty good snowmen, but it isn't much fun for driving. Now when it's far below freezing, we get a drier, fluffier version with a snow to water ratio reaching 14 to 1 or higher. This is the type that makes crummy snowballs, but is usually much easier to drive on. When the temperature is right around freezing, we'll often get a very wet, dense, slick snow with some ice thrown in. This is quite a hazard to driving. Now this type of snow is rather unusual in the northern part of the United States, which is one of the reasons why Virginians are often accused of not being able to drive on snow. Injury from shoveling snow is another big problem. Many folks don't have an appreciation for the mass of material they're moving. At our typical 10 to 1 ratio, snow weighs about 6 pounds per cubic foot. If there's a foot of snow on the ground, a good-sized snow shovel can hold a hefty load, and by the time you've cleared a 40-foot driveway, you've hauled over a ton. No wonder backaches abound. And this is Jerry Stenger, Director of the Climatology Office at the University of Virginia, hoping you can just sit back, relax, and watch the snow.
Hello, and welcome to the ABCs of Agriculture. Today we're at Strange's Florist in Richmond, and I'll be sharing some really interesting facts with you about one of Christmas's favorite flowers, the poinsettia. Did you know that the poinsettia's main attraction is not its flowers, but its leaves? The flowers of the plant are the yellow clustered buds at the center. The colored leafy parts are actually the leaves. Red is the most popular color, accounting for roughly 3/4 of all sales nationwide followed by white and pink. Poinsettias come in a variety of colors from red, salmon, and apricot to yellow, cream, and white. There are also unusual speckled or marble varieties like Jingle Bells and Candy Cane. How many poinsettias do you think are sold in a year? If you guessed around 60 million, you'd be in the ballpark. Poinsettias account for 1/3 of all sales of all flowering potted plants. A native plant of southern Mexico, the poinsettia blooms in December and has been used in that country to decorate churches for centuries. To keep your poinsettia healthy throughout the holiday season, remember these important facts. Keep your plant moist, not overly watered. Keep your plant indoors and away from drafts. That way your plant will bloom long into the new year. For the ABCs of Agriculture, I'm Professor Brad.
If you're a teacher in grades K through 8 and would like more information on the Agriculture in the Classroom program, contact Tammy Maxey at agintheclass.org.
Up next, Chef Maxwell has a recipe for a delicious holiday dish, oysters etouffee.
I'm Mark Viette. Coming up on In the Garden, we're going to talk about bringing a little bit of your outdoors indoors for the holidays. Stay with us.
I grew this apple on my family farm.
I harvested this apple with my own 2 hands. I transported this apple to market.
I purchased this apple for my store.
I bought this apple for my family. And I protected this apple, the farm it grew on, and everyone who touched it by joining Save Our Food.
Help Virginia Farm Bureau protect farms and families by joining Save Our Food. Sign up today at saveourfood.org.
I love this apple.
Virginia, grounded in the traditions of our forefathers and handed down from generation to generation, just like our proud hunting heritage. For as much as some things have changed in our lifetime, some things should always stay the same. Continue the tradition of safe firearms handling to ensure a lifetime lasts a long, long time.
If Georgia has peaches, Wisconsin has cheese, and Florida has, well, you know, what does Virginia have? Virginia's finest. A long line of things made or grown in Virginia wear this label because Virginia is too good to be known for only one thing. Poor Idaho.
Hi, welcome to Chef Maxwell's Kitchen. We're down here in Norfolk, Virginia at the Culinary Institute of Virginia, where the next generation of great chefs is being trained. And we're going to be doing some real fun things with some Virginia food today. First of all, it's not Virginia food if it doesn't have to do with corn, right? So we got some grits. We got stone ground grits, and I don't know whether we can get a really good shot on these, but this is stone ground. It's a really rough cut and very large kernel, right? So when it cooks, you still got some texture to it. Right? I've got these cooking in some chicken stock over here, right? And they're pretty well finished. They're ready to go, except we're going to add a little bit of cheese. A little bit of butter. Right, and stir that around to get that in there smooth and melted. And then we're going to add a little bit of cream. We need to add a little bit more fat to the dish. There we go. And that's all set. We're going to let this simmer now while we make our etouffee. So we're going to get some butter melted in here. And as soon as that melts down good, we're going to add what the Cajuns call the Trinity. Trinity is celery, onions, and green peppers. Almost everything Cajun has celery, onions, and green peppers. So I'm going to add, hear that? Cajun music. Add those in there. Let them simmer a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of garlic. Let that simmer. This is going to simmer for about 3 minutes until it's good and clear. We don't want to brown this. We just want it to clear up a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of tomato paste. All right? And then I'm going to do this. It's called pincer. It's a French word. It means basically to fry the tomato paste. All right? I'm going to let some of the oils separate out of it and let the sugars start to caramelize. Tomatoes have got a lot of sugar in them. And when you caramelize them, it makes the dish a little bit sweeter without having to add sugar. And what we've got here are some bayside oysters as opposed to oceanside. These came out of the Chesapeake Bay as opposed to off the ocean, which means they're a little less salty than the oceanside oysters, a little bit sweeter finish, right? And they hold up a little bit better, right, in subtle sauces. Right? But they don't have that durability that gets built into an oceanside oyster or that very high salt content that's in an oceanside oyster. And these would be perfect for our Cajun etouffee. And I'm going to add a little bit of red wine. You watch what this does. This is red wine, red tomatoes. Makes brown sauce. Isn't that neat? So 2 reds equal brown. So we got that simmering, and all those good flavors from the garlic and the onions and the celery are there. I'm going to add a little bit of parsley. I'm going to add a little bit of diced tomatoes. And there's nothing wrong with a canned tomato. Of course, in season, you know, when it comes to be May, June, July, August, you want to use fresh tomatoes. But in the middle of winter, you can't get fresh tomatoes. Use the ones you've put up or that somebody else has put up. So there we go with, that's our etouffee sauce. Etouffee means smothered, right, in French. Now we're going to add our oysters and just poach them a little bit. These are delicate oysters, so I didn't want to put them in at the beginning. And let that simmer. Now, while that's working, I'm going to go ahead and start setting up this dish. I'm going to add some parsley to the grits and stir that around. Going to put some grits down in this bowl. You can use any plate you want. You see the grits are holding together, right? And they are just delicious. Made them with chicken stock. They are perfect. Right. I'm going to take some oysters. They're hot. Seasoned well. I'm just going to scatter some of these oysters around on top of the grits. This is kind of a variation on what you might find as a shrimp and grits, right? But we're making it with oysters instead. I think that's enough oysters to make the dish look good. Certainly not enough oysters for me. Right. And there we have it. Oysters etouffee on grits. Let me take a little bit of this and just kind of pop some color in there.
Remember, here at Chef Maxwell's, we always play with our food, but it's better if the food is safe, fresh, and locally grown. For more delicious recipes using Virginia-grown fruits and vegetables, contact Lisa Lloyd at the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services at 102 Governor Street, Richmond, Virginia, 23219.
Chef Maxwell's recipes are listed on the Save Our Food website at saveourfood.org.
I'm here in Fishersville at the Old Red Barn gift shop. And one of the things you're going to notice around me is lots of greenery. Now, for some of us, we have to use artificial trees. Some of us may be able to use live trees. But what you can always do is bring a little bit of that outdoors indoors. And for example here, I've got lotus pods, pine cones. This is okra that has been left to grow too long. And right here, I just have a branch of pine needles. Now keep in mind, this is an economical way to decorate, very inexpensive. And in addition, it's something you can involve your whole family in. You can go outdoors and pick pine cones off the ground or off your trees, or pick beautiful dogwood branches and maybe spray paint them. But these are just a few things that you can do to naturalize or brighten up your indoors. When you're thinking of designing or decorating for the holidays, think about using a more unified theme. It tends to be a little more simple. And here we have the nature tree, which has, pine needles, pine cones, artificial leaves and berries. It's even got an old fishing reel. But when you're thinking of just those, more unified themes, you can use, one theme in one room, one theme in another room. And the other thing you can do is you can take some of your outdoor plants and you can just spray them with gold or silver. But let's look at a couple other unified themes that you can use indoors. Use a variety of themes when you're thinking of decorating indoors. And you'll see, the silver and white theme, and then silver and crystal theme. And then you can even have more of a red theme, which everything on this tree is tied in together with the ornaments and even the red and the ribbons. And one of my favorites is the mauve and lavender and purple theme. And really those are the colors that come out. Now you'll see it is intermixed with other things, but again, you're getting that single theme or impression when you're viewing it. Earlier we talked about bringing some of those things from your garden indoors. Here are some of them. You can take your evergreens and pick them. Think of this also as a family affair. You could even involve your kids in going out and picking pine cones, and you might even pick something like holly. And then what you want to do with some of this is possibly spray paint them. That has been done. Always read the label and wear the right protective gear. But you can just come in and spray, for example, maybe this leaf right here. And as you can see, it shows up. Let it dry. Sometimes you'll do this outdoors. And what you can do with things that you want to stick in centerpieces or wreaths, you can wire on a wooden pick, for example, on this magnolia leaf, and then you can use this in your arrangements. The other thing you're going to notice is there's lots of different things you can pick from the garden. And for example, this is a pine cone, and the pine cone has been sprayed with either a varnish or a polyurethane. But you'll see it can be stuck in styrofoam, or on the other hand, you might have a box that you can use and you can stick these natural pods and then spray paint them so you don't ruin furniture or carpet or flooring. You can have the beautiful silver painted Nandina and combine that with the natural red berries of the Nandina, and you can use a little bit of your outdoors and bring it indoors. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.
Up next on Down Home Virginia, we'll see how our forefathers decorated for the holidays. Stay with us.
Our colonial ancestors didn't have modern-day conveniences like lights and tinsel to decorate their homes with, but what they did have was locally grown fruits and plants. And they still decorate that way in Colonial Williamsburg every year.
There is nothing quite as special as Christmas time in Colonial Williamsburg. But while the original colonists didn't celebrate Christmas as elaborate as we do today, they did enjoy holly sprigs in their windows and throughout their homes. And of course, a great feast on Christmas Day. Today, Colonial Williamsburg visitors are taken back through time when decorations consisted of what one would have had on hand. You will not find electric colored lights or plastic Santas here, only beautiful handmade wreaths, garland, and centerpieces. But creating this magic takes an entire year of preparation in advance of the season. The gardeners and artists begin creating the wreaths, garland, and roping for dry arrangements in the summer, using only fresh and locally grown plants and fruits.
During the summertime, if they see something that they want to use, they have to think about drying it, and also just getting the materials ahead of time, because starting the 1st of November is when they start assembling all the dried arrangements.
We have actually added a lot more of our local flowers that are dried, and also things that are found in the wild that would have been available to colonists during the 1700s in Williamsburg.
In all, more than 10 truckloads of local greens, 700 wreaths, some 20 bushels of fruit, and more than 4 miles of pine roping will be handmade here with no shortcuts taken.
I know that we decorate well over 100 buildings, and that may just be a wreath on a door, or it may be a wreath on a door plus window treatments.
But it takes a lot of upkeep to make sure the fresh wreaths look good throughout the holidays.
We're constantly changing out our fresh decorations, and each morning, while most of us are still in bed, we have 2 gardeners out on the street checking each arrangement, replacing any damaged fruit or anything that was broken, dried material.
Each year, the gardeners conduct demonstrations on wreath and decoration craft for visitors. They say it is easy to do yourself in your own homes with some imagination and a lot of fresh local greenery and fruit.
Sherry, normally I am a big fan of the more twinkle lights the better come the holiday season, but I have to admit those decorations were beautiful, and I really like the locally grown aspect of them all.
That's right, Norm. And for those of us who love to decorate using locally grown products, Colonial Williamsburg produces a wonderful how-to-do-it-yourself books that are available in all your local bookstores.
And that's going to do it for this month on Down Home Virginia. Coming up next month, we'll take a look at the most pressing issues facing farmers in the Virginia General Assembly.
And of course, our chef John Maxwell has a delicious recipe for apple chowder, just in time for those cold winter nights. So for everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great holiday season.
You know, make my home in Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay. And when this earthly ramble is over, no, my soul will find peace there always. Home in my heart is Virginia.
I grew this apple on my family farm.
I harvested this apple with my own 2 hands. I transported this apple to market.
I purchased this apple for my store.
I bought this apple for my family. And I protected this apple, the farm it grew on, and everyone who touched it by joining Save Our Food.
Help Virginia Farm Bureau protect farms and families by joining Save Our Food. Sign up today at saveourfood.org.
I love this apple.